Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning, Uganda. Thank you so much for being on the show. If you are just joining in, you're not yet so late. So thank you so much for being on the show. And if you started the show with us all the way from early morning till now, thank you so much for being on the show as well. My name is Julie Nantabamusisi, and it's time for the agenda. Now, rural communities in Uganda face many challenges. For example, they do face the challenges of poverty, limited access to credit and market exclusion, etc., etc. But that has been proven to be lessened by cooperatives as a solution. And today in studio, we are looking at inclusive and sustainable rural transformation through cooperatives. Now, we have two amazing guests to speak into this matter, and that is Mr. Wilson Nyabutundu, who is the Lobby and Advocacy Manager, Uganda Cooperatives Alliance, as well as Mrs. Jacqueline Zawedde, who is the Head Communications and Marketing at Uganda Cooperatives Alliance. To be on the show, 0709-602-592. Make sure that you send your question in as early as possible so that it's addressed while we're still within the time threshold that we have to engage in on this conversation. Once again, good morning, and let's delve straight into it. Good morning, Mr. Wilson.
Good morning, Juliet, and good morning, viewers. UBC, thank you for giving us the opportunity to come and speak to the cooperators, but also speak to the general public about issues concerning cooperatives. Thank you.
Right, thank you so much for coming, and good morning, Mrs. Jacqueline.
Good morning, Julie, and good morning, our dear viewers. This morning is very great for us.
All right, thank you so much for always being here and teaching Ugandans about cooperatives. And I'll start with you, Mrs. Jacqueline. Can you briefly explain the mission of the UCA and how it relates to rural transformation?
Yeah, thank you so much, Julie. Uganda Cooperative Alliance, we've always been here every Wednesday, and we've been informing people about our mandate. And we are the apex body that takes over all the cooperatives and circles in Uganda. When you go deep into the issue of cooperatives, some people do not know how to they do not know what a cooperative is. But in a layman's language, or maybe if I were to use the International Cooperative Alliance way of defining it, a cooperative is an autonomous association of persons who come together voluntarily to try to meet their economic and social and cultural aspirations as well as needs. And they come together independently, but also democratically. Theirs is democratic, and it's not a company. It is an association of people. So there's the ownership bit, there's the membership bit. Our mission as UCA, we do lots of things, but one of those is to build capacities of the cooperatives and also to voice for them, to be the voice for them to government. So here, Mr. Wilson is here doing the lobby and advocacy, role, right. But in a way we are speaking for all the cooperatives in Uganda. And we are also doing a lot of capacity building. We are doing a lot of dispute. Sometimes there are disputes within the cooperatives, and we are trying to alienate that as well. Sorry, to alleviate it. Now, when it comes to rural transformation, rural transformation in a layman's language still, it is just making yourself better. If you've been in the village, you want to make yourself better. If I'm to use examples, for example, you've been a woman selling tomatoes at the roadside. Now, you want to make sure that you increase on the quantity of the tomatoes that you're selling, right. Okay? Mm. And you've been, let's say, walking to the market to sell your tomatoes. But this time around, you're going to be able to transform because there are better roads that are taking you to the markets, but also maybe you bought yourself a small car, or even you have a truck where you're loading all these quantities of tomatoes that you've produced, and you're taking them to the markets. Or maybe you've been, for example, last week we were at the Musevenomics conference, and we saw what the parish development model is actually doing in transforming the rural people. We saw a video of one man who has been a hawker. He was hawking previously, you know, small things, and maybe in a day it would bring him maybe just 1,000 shillings as profit. Now, when he was given that money of the PDM, he's been able to transform himself. We saw in the video that he was actually producing lots of onions at a large scale, and he had now the market. There were people who were coming to see what he was actually doing and buying the market from the onions from him. Now he was able to transform himself. He's able to take his children to school. He has been able to actually put up a structure. It's not yet complete, but that is what they call now transformation. When you look at our borders around, these people have been able to transform from the rural, you know, understanding of doing things to now the modern way of doing things. These are people who are owning fleets of borders just because they are going through cooperatives. They are coming into, you know, those kind of joint ventures as cooperatives, and they're able to transform themselves. So in a nutshell, transformation means just making yourself better. Now, when it comes to inclusivity, that is when you want to look at all kinds of people, whether those who are living with disabilities, whether women, whether the youth, whether the rich or poor, they are all they are benefiting in the market. So that is what we call inclusivity. And with cooperatives, it is very, it's a much better way of coming together in cooperatives to transform yourselves as people. Thank you.
Right, very profound and in-depth background right there. Reminding you that 0709602592 is the WhatsApp number that you have to engage it as early as possible so that your opinion or your question is addressed within the time threshold that we have. And coming to you, Mr. Wilson, Jacqueline tried to, you know, dig a bit. She just touched the surface of how cooperatives are considered a powerful tool for inclusive development in Uganda, but I know you can delve deeper and dig the water out of that ground. So why are cooperatives considered a very powerful tool for inclusive development in Uganda?
Thank you, Juliet. And when we talk of rural transformation, like my colleague has said, cooperatives are at the center of that. Now, in terms of cooperative business, when we talk of cooperative business, one of the key aspects we look at is that cooperative as a business model harnesses the key intrinsic value of human society, which is cooperation. Meaning that as a society, you can't do anything tangible as an individual. You need the efforts of others to come together and pool resources for any tangible economic progress. And that is what cooperative does, and that is what inclusivity means. Coming together, you pool efforts. The other aspect that we need to take care of is that the cooperative business model is run on a set of values. Values of self-help, self-determination, member involvement, and then concern for the community. And those are aspects that directly feed in what we call sustainability when it comes to issues of development. Now, if you make a flashback to countries that have transformed their rural areas, basically some of these achievements have been achieved through the use of the cooperative business model. Talk of countries like the State of Israel. Their earlier development efforts in the 60s, in the 70s, in the 80s, when you read their history, these development efforts were spurred through cooperatives. Actually, I was privileged to spend some time in the State of Israel. You find that a whole village, a whole parish is run by a cooperative. It is the cooperative that organizes the farming systems, the irrigation systems, the school systems, the housing systems for its population in a particular village or parish. And it is built around the idea that no individual can do development alone, but when you bring efforts together, then you are able to move. Now, actually, for Israel, they have their cooperative system called the Cooperatives system, where people in a locality come together and see how they combine efforts to spur development of their areas. Then talk of a country like the United States of America, USA. For instance, 40% of the electricity subsector in the USA is run or managed by cooperatives along the entire electricity chain, from generation, transmission, to distribution. USA has about 1,000 rural electric cooperatives that are involved in generation, transmission, and distribution of electricity. And as a result, this has transformed the rural areas, because initially in the 70s and 80s, the conventional utility companies were not interested in going to do operations of electricity in the rural areas. So what people had to do was to form themselves into cooperative businesses or cooperative societies so that they address their electricity challenges. Now, look at our neighbor Kenya. In Kenya, most of the sectors that have developed, like the dairy sector, like the financial sector, like the transport sector, most of these cooperative businesses have taken the lead. It is cooperatives that are operating buses along main roads in Nairobi, matatus on Nairobi streets, and then cooperatives have been there in the financial sector. The savings and credit cooperative societies are very well pronounced in Kenya, and then cooperatives are very pronounced in the dairy sector. And these enterprises or these cooperative societies have played a leading role in transforming the rural areas in Kenya. Now, coming home here, you appreciate that the development that we witnessed in the 60s, in the 70s, in the 80s were spearheaded by cooperatives, particularly in our rural areas. Take the case of Nyabutundu Growers Cooperative Union in Kasese. Growing up in Kasese, Nyabutundu Growers Cooperative Union owned the best housing estate in Kasese town. The moment you would reach Kasese town, you would be told this housing estate belongs to Nyabutundu Growers Cooperative Union. Nyabutundu Growers Cooperative Union has been at the forefront of cotton growing in the Kazinga Channel area. Nyabutundu Growers Cooperative Union has the best tractor services that you can think of. So that is how well cooperatives can transform rural communities. They use the powers of numbers and member empowerment to ensure that services reach the people to transform their lives. In a nutshell, cooperatives contribute to rural transformation through a number of ways. One is that they improve the productivity systems of smallholder farmers through availing farmers improved inputs like improved seed qualities. They enable farmers access extension services that are crucial to crop production. Through cooperatives enable their members to access financial services through savings and credit cooperative societies, but also when farmers or members come together, they are able to access other sources of finance through banks and through other development partners. Then cooperatives also enable farmers access better markets. When you are in a cooperative, you are able to pool your services or your products together and be able to access better markets than the way you would access them individually. Cooperatives enable farmers have a voice, have bargaining power, so that which aspect you would not manage as an individual farmer or as an individual household. Thank you.
Wow, as they say, teamwork makes the dream work. And that has rightly been expressed by Mr. Wilson Nyabutundu. He is the Lobby and Advocacy Manager at Uganda Cooperatives Alliance. And we also have Mrs. Jacqueline Zawedde, who is the Head Communications and Marketing at the Uganda at the Uganda Cooperatives Alliance. You want to be a part of the show, 0709602592. And Fabio, you come through and say, good day. For us, we work with cooperatives of cocoa farmers in Bundi Bujo. All right. Thank you for being on the show. Now, my next one is coming to you, Jacqueline. What barriers still exist that really are preventing the full inclusion as it's expected to be in rural cooperatives?
Thank you, Julie. Now, there are various barriers that have made it sometimes impossible for cooperatives to work according to how they should be. And one of these is governance. The other day we were in Kisoro, in Kigezi. We were training actually the Kigezi Cooperatives Union, and under that there are a number of circles that we met. And one of them was that there's lots of corruption among the leadership. These people are being, taken for granted. They come, they save their money, and then before they know it, the money has been, fleeced, and it has been defrauded into other aspects of life instead of actually transforming them. There's a lot of, the women have not yet been included into the leadership roles. There's still that, that pressure and what you would call, women are not yet looked at as factors of production. You see, women, we are creators. On top of being the people who bear the children, we also have creative minds. I can say that you can have your husband. Okay, let me take an example of myself. We might have made some very good money between me and Mr. Ariho, yeah? And then he feels he needs now to do something with his money, maybe to be entertained, to go for entertainment, to go to the beach. But because I have this, as a woman, I'm productive and I create, I look in the future. I want to think that that money can actually be put somewhere productive rather than just, spoiling it. Because with entertainment, you're going to blow away 1 million shillings at the beach. And then I'm going to ask you, what have you profited out of that? Where are the profits? And the day will just end like that without any profits whatsoever. Yet if you brought that 1 million shillings and we put it into something that is going to gain something profitable out of it, an investment, at the end of the day we shall even have a bigger way of entertaining ourselves, just not going to the beach but maybe flying out of the country, because I am looking in the future. And that is my mind as a woman. But because of or you know, the cultural impediments, you know, the norms. We have not been included into this kind of leadership. Women have not been included. And that was something that came out very, very clearly as we are doing our training in Kigezi.
And if you say that women are mostly participate in farming,
Yes.
so if they are not represented at the leadership, position,
level,
then it doesn't solve the solution of them being a part of the cooperative.
Yes. And now also the other issue is now with infrastructure. We are still having problems with our roads. Now, producers are going to produce lots of products, but then making them reach at the market, at the consumer, is going to be very cumbersome. That is why now the model of cooperatives comes into play. You know that there are very many cooperatives that have joined together to actually construct roads in their areas. Talk of Mbarara Dairy Cooperative. That cooperative has come together. First of all, they've bought coolers, milk coolers, and now they even process this milk, so that at the end of the day, it has that value addition when it gets to the consumer. So because of that model, they've been able to come together to buy, you know, these people who walk around with milk in containers, yeah, that milk, as much as they are taking it to the person who wants it at the village, at their door, but sometimes it doesn't have the value addition. It is going to get bad at the end of the day. It is not processed. It is been, you know, at the end of the day, he's walking around with his bike, going around selling it, but there isn't any kind of value addition because it's just one single person. Now let this person come in a kind of a cooperative model or cooperative way. They are going to be able to store this milk in coolers. They are going to be able to have actually competitive prices when it comes to selling them. They are going to even market them out of this country, because here in Uganda we process our milk, we package it, and we even export it because of cooperatives. Talk about Toro Dairy Cooperative. That cooperative has been very, very good in actually doing that kind of thing. But now these are some of the challenges because of the infrastructure, where now we want to advocate and say, and we call out to the government to come and actually do that kind of infrastructure development so that our farmers can take their products where they're supposed to be. And then also the awareness is still lacking. Like I told you, people are in circles, but they don't know what a circle is. They do not know how to actually register a circle. They do not know that there's a difference between a village saving group, which is just registered at the sub-county by the commercial officer, and a circle that is registered at the registrar's office, at the registrar of cooperatives at the Ministry of Trade. So they do not know, they don't know about the bylaws, they do not know that actually when we come together, it's not about just any other investment group, but what are those things that help you to access the, that circle portfolio, yeah? And what are the benefits of a circle? People are going into investment groups, but they are still saving their money under the mattresses. Imagine it's a saving group, but the person who is getting the money is saving it under the mattress. What happens then? The rats come and they take it away. And all this is because they lack the awareness. That is why we have come up as Uganda Cooperative Alliance to actually create this. This is one of actually our mandate, to educate them, to give them the skills, the financial skills, to actually connect them with partners, development partners, who will continue giving them these skills, both on private and also public platforms.
Oh, wow.
Thank you.
Very profound. And a couple of your comments coming through. Thank you so much for being on the show. Fabio, you come again and you say, please share with me the UCA contacts in order to share strategy to make the, I think, your cooperative, Cocoa Farmers Cooperative, grow in the right way. And indeed, you re-echo, teamwork makes the dream work. Tractor, okay, what happened to cooperative societies in Uganda? I see the cotton and other structures getting dilapidated. Tell Ugandans what next. Okay. This is Patrico, and I think, Wilson, you'll be able to speak into this in just a minute. But for now, first tell us, what training or support does UCA provide to ensure that cooperatives are well managed and sustainable?
Thank you, Julie. And like Jackie said, the Uganda Cooperative Alliance is the apex body for cooperatives in Uganda. It is established by law under the Cooperative Societies Act 2020, and with the mandate, one, to advise government on issues of policy regarding cooperatives. The other role that UCA plays is advocacy, advocating for the cooperative movement in Uganda at national level, regional and international levels. The other mandate of UCA is to undertake training for its members, share information so that members are aware about what is happening in the cooperative subsector. The other mandate is disputes resolution. I think my colleague Jackie hinted on that. We address disputes among cooperators as and when they arise. The other mandate that UCA does is to mobilize resources from government, from development partners, resources to support the cooperative cause in the country. Then the other mandate, like we have explained, is to undertake trainings so that cooperators really get to know what is expected of them and what they need to do so that they are empowered in whatever they do. So Uganda Cooperative Alliance has been doing that and will continue to do that. Now, as part of our mandate, of course, like I have said, we look for resources from development partners. Like, for instance, we are implementing a project that we call Farmers Organization for Rural Transformation, FORT project. This is a 5-year project that we are going to implement across the country. And basically, we are going to implement it in the regions of Lango, Elgon region, Soga region, Kigezi region, and Toro region. Now, the main goal for this project, Farmer Organizations for Rural Transformation, is to ensure that we contribute to creating a resilient and sustainable development of livelihoods of smallholder farmers. And we hope to do this through strengthening farmer organizations. And these are farmer organizations include cooperatives, include area cooperative enterprises, include farmer associations. And therefore, one of the key issues we are looking at is, for instance, how do we utilize the current infrastructure out there? Like the colleague said, some of the infrastructure is dilapidated. How do we now bring on board cooperatives to manage some of these infrastructure for socio-economic transformation of their lives? So that is an area we are looking at under this project. And the project is going to address a number of systemic challenges that farmers face. We are going to look at issues of low productivity levels. How do we address that? We are going to look at issues of lack of inadequate access to financial services. How do we address that? We are going to look at issues of access to markets and better pricing for farmers' products. So that is an issue we are also going to address. Then we are also going to look at how do we empower farmers. Our focus is the smallholder farmers. The farmer should be well empowered, well trained to understand better methods of farming, to understand advocacy issues, so that farmers, through now their farmer organizations, they are able to engage various partners, development partners and government in addressing or in their development efforts.
Right. Now, let me engage a few of more of your comments. And Patrico, I think you've been answered by Mr. Wilson. Your question was, what happened to cooperatives in Uganda? And I see the cotton and other structures getting dilapidated. Tell Ugandans what next. And you also came through and said tractor units are still there in Alwa, Soroti, and others. What's the plan to reinstate this project? Somebody else comes through and says, good morning, team. Does UCA have bursaries for rural community members' children? This can drive this entity to the hearts of the people and even help them understand the organization more. People need to support that. People need the support that is direct, not what we can say is programmed community lifestyle and well documented. Is there a supportive measure directed to their health too? And are we supported in this? I don't know if I'm being, of course, here. Okay, I don't know what you meant there, but you say people need this supportive measure and more to have a fresh mind to focus on farming and much more. But we love the direction UCA is taking. Jackie, let me pose this to you. What would you say about this comment?
Well, we do not have that direct support, but what we are doing as UCA, we are actually skilling people. We are building their capacities. We are building the capacities of cooperatives and also encouraging very many people to come and join cooperatives. We are encouraging the youth. I think for him, he brought it in a kind of a youth, from that angle of the youth.
Okay.
We are encouraging youth to come and partake of this. There is a cooperative society for disability, for people who have graduated but with disabilities. I think it is called Twezimbe. I'm not very sure. But that cooperative society has actually encouraged people. For them, their norm is disability is not inability.
Yeah.
Okay. Now they look at people who have disabilities, and these are youth. They have graduated, and they are encouraging them to join circles so that they can partake of the financial and other benefits that circles can benefit them with. Now, we will not give you money because money is not sustainable. If we are to pay for school fees, did he call it support in terms of school fees for their children?
School fees and
that
health.
might be sustainable, maybe because now you're educating them, but in the long run it is not. But if we are giving you skills after being educated, even if you are a dropout, there's a cooperative society in Luweero. It brings children, women, especially girls that have dropped out of school, and they train them into tailoring. Now, these are people who have gone ahead to tailor the school uniforms around for the schools that are around, and they are selling them, and they are earning out of it. So as we give you that kind of expertise, that kind of skilling, and then you also give it to your children, it is sustainable in the long run. We don't want to look at, look at the parish development program model. Down in the rural area, they are skilling these people. Apart from, on top of giving them what they are giving them, they are skilling them. They are not just going to give you money and do not give you the skills of how to utilize that money, of how to grow that money into something better. Look at the GROW program. As much as they give you the money in terms of a loan with maybe subsidized interest rates, they are also going to skill you on how to put this money to start up a bakery, a small bakery, to start up a small sewing or tailoring, kind of industry. So even us at UCA, we want to skill people. Let them come to us. In fact, just write to us that we have some gaps in this kind of financial skills that we would wish for you to come and support us, and we shall surely come. I told you last week we were in Chigezi. Next week we are actually going to go to Gulu. They just wrote to us, and they told us we have gaps in our governance. We want to have we want to see the reenactment of the cooperative bank. If we come together as one voice in numbers, like he said, and we lobby for a cooperative bank, it is you, UCA, that is going to take back our cry back to government. And indeed we did. When the Musevenomics conference happened, we were able to air out all these views, and it has been now put into the line of development, even right from the central bank. They are thinking of how to reinvigorate the cooperative bank back.
All right. Thank you very much, Jacqueline, for that submission. And somebody comes through with a question stating, "Dear sir or madam, I'm inquiring about the process of registering a comparative cooperative in Uganda. Specifically, what are the steps involved in registering a comparative? Do you have, all right, let me get back to it. Yes, you said, do you have a regional office in Gulu that handles cooperative registration? Mrs. Ariho has just mentioned that, in fact, next week they are traveling to Gulu. UCA is coming to Gulu. There are numerous farmers groups in the region interested in registering as comparative or SACCO. However, they require guidance on the registration process and legal requirements. Could you please provide advice or direct me to the relevant authorities or resources that can assist these farmers groups? Thank you very much for your time and assistance. This is Okwil Denish Okelo wishing us best regards. Jacqueline, I'll stay with you to speak into it. I know you already mentioned that you're traveling to Gulu next week, but he had more questions that I think you could still speak into.
Yeah, I'll speak into it and say that yes, as much as we have a regional office in Gulu, and we're actually working with very many models and parish people down there, but for registering a SACCO, it has to go through the registrar of cooperatives at the Ministry of Trade. Have all your papers together, have the bylaws together, have everything that incorporates you as not a company, but as a group that has, I told you that for a cooperative, you have to have one common group, and you've come together voluntarily, and you are autonomous, you're not being dependent on anything, you're independent. Now come and approach the registrar, that is the commissioner of cooperatives at the Ministry of Trade, and they will register you. Right. Once you are registered, you can come. Immediately you're registered, because for us as UCA, we are the apex body of all cooperatives. The moment you're registered as a SACCO. And by the way, this is very important, because very many people are out there, they are labeling themselves as SACCOs, but they've not been registered. And this is where now fraud comes in. People's money is being taken. It is being stolen by individuals. You go and keep your money with just an individual. You've not been registered, you're not known anywhere as a SACCO or a cooperative, and then money is taken. Even if you go and report to police, as long as you don't have those letters of incorporation or registration that come from the Ministry of Trade, you are not going to be as much helped as it could have done. It could have been when you're coming through us and also through the Ministry of Trade. There are those people who think that just a village saving group or maybe a farmers group is enough because you're collecting money. One, even a village savings group, VSLA, yeah? It has to go through the right channels to be registered and acknowledged as a VSLA. You have to go to the, what are those people called? The commercial officers. You have to go to the commercial officers down at the local government so that they acknowledge you as a village saving group, because there's a lot that is going to go in there. There are numbers, and money is something that is very, very, important to work with, and yet it is very tricky handling money. Yes. So now if you're going to handle money and you're not going to be registered as a SACCO and just a farmers group, and then anything happens, you're not going to be supported in any kind of way. Right.
Yeah. Mr. Wilson, anything to add to that before I ask you my next question?
Oh yes, like Jack has explained, and to the colleague calling from Gulu, the process of registering a cooperative is not very complex. The most important thing is to understand why you are coming together as a group. And the first entry point is to get in touch with the district commercial officer or the city commercial officer. In Gulu, we have a city commercial officer in Gulu City, and then the surrounding districts of Muru, of Noya, and other districts, there is always an office for the district commercial officer. And we work closely with these district commercial officers who provide the necessary technical guidance to whoever or to whichever group wants to register a cooperative. So my colleague in Gulu, please visit the district visit the office of the district commercial officer at the city, at the Gulu City, or in the various local district governments. Thank you.
All right. Now, allow me also ask you, how does UCA support digital transformation or even modernization of cooperatives in rural areas?
Yes, like we have been explaining, one of the key roles that we do at UCA is to facilitate trainings, capacity building activities for the cooperatives out there. But like my colleague has said, our services are majorly demand driven. You identify gaps that you have and then communicate to us. We have had instances where we act proactively, but we encourage our members, we encourage cooperators, cooperative societies, cooperative unions, area cooperative enterprises to always assure you come to us when you have gaps. When you need support in the area of record management, we will be there for you. We have the technical capacity to train people in record management, to train in corporate governance, to train in the marketing, to train in the digital systems. All that capacity, we have it at Uganda Cooperative Alliance, and we are always at your service. Now, like I did mention that one of the key things we are doing under the FORT project, Farm Organizations for Rural Transformation, one of the key issues we are looking at is supporting cooperatives, and particularly savings and credit cooperative societies. And we have a program to support you in digitalizing your operational systems. So this is an area we already have a plan for. The most important thing I would urge you, our cooperators out there, is always to reach to UCA. Thank you.
Right, and I believe a direct contact will be shared as we close this. But for now, thank you, Ms. Kahanza Justin, for getting in touch and watching the show. You say cooperatives have transformed the rural communities in the Asian tigers. For example, Korea, Japan, Malaysia, Singapore, India, etc., and the American and European economies, especially in rural areas, also attained transformation of smallholder farmers and artisans using the same model. This indicates, therefore, that this is our best model to development as Uganda. Let's embrace it. And that is Ms. Kahanza Justin, who is the PR of UCA. Good morning. Thank you very much for the show. We have a 5-member group saving. Please kindly guide us accordingly on how to make it official or registered saving group. This is Eseri Mutema. That has been explained, and I am the person who has been there for the Economic Fundamental Change Program. Through sensitization of patriotism, I awakened all Ugandans about the core values of NRM, about the good services offered by the NRM and sustainable projects. Kindly allow me introduce the true parish model. Okay, thank you very much. And you are basically talking about the good that is in the parish model. Thank you very much. This is Susan Nantumbwe Imi. Aha. And finally, Fabio Guillermo, you say many thanks for your work. And thanks to the UCA team. If the smallholder farmers can get truly together, they can make a positive change to both their lives and Uganda as a country producing for food and for the world. Greetings with respect. Comments there coming in to celebrate the work of the UCA. Now, Amoti Junior, we are unable to pick calls, but we are able to read your text message via WhatsApp and are able to answer that. Let me come to you, Jacqueline. You did share the barriers and challenges faced, which are very profound and in-depth. What would you advise the government to do, or what actions would you advise the government to take in order to solve some of these barriers?
Yeah, thank you, Julie. Now, before I actually go into that, this topic was looking at also inclusivity.
Inclusivity, yeah.
And I want to just say something about inclusiveness.
Right.
You see, cooperatives, we want to encourage that kind of inclusiveness for rural development. And like I already told you about how women can actually help in the leadership and also in the production and also the development of cooperatives. But also the youth. The youth are a very big factor in terms of developing cooperatives. When you talk about people living with disabilities, those are people, you know, for you, you will be able to do something normally because you're normal, but then a person who is living with a disability will now, you have to use even something more to tweak his mind even more. For example, for you who is using your hands to write, you will do it very easily. But then a person who is actually using their mouth or their legs to write now is going to surpass. So when it comes to development, those people will actually do it even greater than how you look at it.
Right.
We have very many success stories in our cooperative, you know, model. There are quite many. When you look at Wazalendo, this is a cooperative society for the army guys and their wives. These people have portfolios that is actually above billions, way billions in assets, in savings, in membership, you know, dividends and so on. When you look at, there's this cooperative society called the Ruchiga Circle. Now, the story of how Ruchiga Circle actually came to be is very interesting.
Right.
These are women who use, like I told you, women are producers. For us, we produce. We use our hands to produce. Now, these are women who would go and produce their, you know, they go and dig, and they produce their products. They take to the farm, to the markets to sell, and then they come back with money at home. Now, the moment the men would know that the women have actually brought money home, they would want to use that money to go and take muramba. In Chigezi, they call it muramba. That is booze. And that is not really productive. So what did they do? They had to run to the nearby church. Father Gaetano, I think you know, you've heard of Father Gaetano. I think now he's retired. So they would go and keep their money there. And Father Gaetano would tell them, you know what, you go back home, tell those people that I did not make any money today. You just keep your money with me here. So the money kept, you know, increasing at the circle. At the church, before it was a circle. And Father Gaetano said, now if there is a robber who comes here, I will be in trouble. Let me go and register a circle. And that is how the circle, it began by women, Ruchiga Circle. When you talk of Ruchiga Circle right now, it is in, I think it has a portfolio of 18 billion in assets, and is it 32 billion in just, you know, if people come into cooperative, that kind of cooperative model, and now I'm answering your question, the government should now put up, for example, they are putting up all these very good programs, the GROW program, the PDM, they are putting up very many programs. There's that youth program at the Ministry of Gender. If they can also put up programs that will enable cooperatives actually to be revived, that is one. The other issue is a cooperative bank. We have always cried for a cooperative bank. Actually, cooperatives themselves, they want banka y'omuntu wawansi.
Right.
You get it? Apart from having the circles, which is that bank where they will go and actually save and also borrow from at a very subsidized fee. That bank which is going to help them to export their merchandise, their coffee that they have grown, and also compete favorably with Brazil, which is, or maybe German, that is not actually growing the coffee, but is actually marketing it or exporting it at a very high price. And you who is actually adding value in your coffee, you're actually being out-competed at the market. We want a kind of cooperative that is going to go down at the rural area, a bank that is going to go down at the rural person at the community, you know, area, and they train this person in how to actually budget for their money. They are making money, but they do not know how to budget for their households.
Now I understand UDB, Uganda Development Bank, is in partnership with UCA.
Yes, we are in partnership.
Yes.
And now that the issue is, like he told you, we have that fourth project. We are profiling these cooperatives.
Right.
Now for us, we want to have a data bank, a database of all these cooperatives.
Right.
The caller, or maybe the person who contributed, was saying that they have one, but they do not know where to actually go and register it. So now when they go and register, if they go and they get all the technical assistance from the commercial officer, and then we get to know that this person has actually registered their circle, then we profile that person. We put them in our data bank. We are going to partner with UDB. UDB is going now to be able, because now the cooperatives are there, but they are scattered. We do not know which one is there. It's just the few that have been now able to come and profile themselves with us,
right,
or whom we have gone down to profile, that we now understand that they are actually in existence. But if we do that kind of profiling of all our, our cooperatives, and then we put them in kind of a data bank, then we can work together with UDB, and then we can access some of these services to them.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Jacqueline. Now, coming back to your comments. Good morning, UBC. What laws have been established by the government to protect cooperatives, especially connecting it to rural areas and inclusivity? I'll pose this to you, Wilson.
Juliet, thank you for the question, and the viewer, thank you for that question. One is that as a country, from the statistics provided by Uganda Bureau of Statistics, 75 to 85% of our population live in rural areas. And therefore, if we are to talk of any tangible development, our focus should be on these rural areas where most of our population live. And most of our population are characterized by low-income earners, smallholder farmers. So the only way out is to embrace the cooperative business model, a model that empowers individual farmers when they come together so that they are able to produce collectively and then access market collectively, access factors of production collectively. That is something we need to embrace, and we need to take care of. Now, like we have been explaining, one of our role as Uganda Cooperative Alliance is to do advocacy, and to do advocacy on issues of cooperatives, do advocacy on assuring that we have a flourishing business environment that can allow cooperatives operate. Right. And this we have been doing. The other aspect that we do is advising government on policy issues that relate to cooperatives. Now, for instance, currently, one of the key areas we are looking at is how do we improve the operational environment for our savings and credit cooperatives, the legal framework around SACCOs operations. For instance, currently, the law provides for SACCOs to register with the Register of Cooperatives, to register with the Ministry of Finance, to register with the Bank of Uganda, and all that complex requirements for licensing make it difficult for SACCOs to operate. That is an area we are engaging the government to improve. So, like the caller said, our mandate and our role at UCA is to ensure that we are constantly engaging various stakeholders in terms of policy formulation, in terms of advocacy, to ensure that we have a favorable operational environment for cooperative businesses to operate effectively. Thank you.
All right. And Amoti Jr. here says, he is from Kamocha. Thank you, Amoti, for watching. And you say now, for how long does it take to do the cooperatives training? Thank you for the show. I'll pose this to Jacqueline. How long does it take to do the cooperatives training, the training processes that come from the UCA?
Well, that question is kind of a little bit diverse, but right, like you said, that we dwell on demand-driven kind of approach.
Right.
If you have a gap, let's say in digitization of your processes, we come in and do that training.
Yes.
If you have maybe governance issues, we come in and do that training. For example, some people do not know how to actually go about dispute resolution within the cooperatives themselves. We can come and look at it as just a topic. But what we do is we make sure that we touch on all regions. We go through, because cooperatives are all everywhere, in the east, in the west, in the north. So we make sure that even in our planning, that we touch on all regions, but also those ones that come to us, they write to us and they say, we need training in this particular area. We shall give you a day. We can give you half a day. We can give you even 2 days, but we cannot go a whole week, because we want to establish people who are going to be trainers of trainers.
Right.
So we are going to train you as trainers of trainers, and in turn you're going to go and train your people, because now you're the people who are at ground.
Grassroots.
You can actually go and reach those people that we cannot reach. We also use the media. Right now we are educating the masses. We are going to use just 1 hour to educate them. We can sometimes go through exhibitions. We usually hold exhibitions, and then different cooperatives come. Some of them even have even more information that we do not have as the apex body, though of course most of the information trickles down from us to them. But if they do also have the information, and we have like a trade fair, or maybe an exhibition, or we have a conference, we have anything, we always invite them to come and give out this kind of information. So we cannot say that the training can be for just 1 day.
Yes,
it all depends on what your need is, where the gap is, and how much it's going to take for us to train you. But it cannot go beyond 1 week, because that would now become another kind of university.
Indeed.
But talking about universities, we are entering into a memorandum of understanding with the Moshi University in Tanzania, but also here with MUBS, so that there is a full faculty of cooperatives, so that people actually get to understand what cooperatives are. So there will be a whole course. There are very many people, like our General Secretary, CPA Ivan. He's very well versed in these cooperatives. Mr. Wilson here, he can become a lecturer because he has all the wealth. Even me myself, in terms of marketing for cooperatives, we can come and give these kind of insights to the people, especially the youth, so that it comes from within up to the top.
Right, and you did talk about some of the activities that are done by UCA, and that is reaching the grassroots. Seeing as you mentioned that next week UCA is visiting Gulu, somebody says that they really, really, really want you to provide the opportunity of being available, and you can state the preferred time. They've even left their number. Well, that will be looked into, but thank you so much, Denish Okelo, for being on the show. And as we begin to bring this to a close, let me read this one final comment. Godfrey from Umbale, Napulu. My question is, why is it that private sector in Uganda is doing better than cooperatives in Uganda? Mr. Wilson, would you be able to speak into this?
Oh, yes. The colleague from Umbale, thank you for that wonderful question. First of all, I just want to clarify one thing, is that private sector is a broad sector, and cooperatives are part of private sector. So when you say private sector is doing well, then literally you are saying cooperatives are doing well.
Oh, wow. profound.
Are we together there?
Yes, indeed.
Yes, but really I don't know in what context he meant when he says private sector is doing well than cooperatives. I think this again comes back to the issue of awareness. For instance, I can use the cooperative societies in the financial sector. The cooperative societies in the financial sector are doing very well. Savings and credit cooperatives, they are doing very well. So like I said, and these now feed into the private sector we are talking about. So essentially cooperatives are doing very well. It depends on what context you are looking at them. But overall, the private sector is doing very well, and therefore the cooperative societies out there, like I have said, particularly in the financial sector, are doing very well also. Thank you.
Right, and now our conversation starts to get to a close, and I'll use what Mr. Wilson has said indeed as a parting shot, that the cooperatives environment is also really part of the private sector, and it's at least thus far that the cooperatives business has come. It's doing very well, and looking forward to doing better and better with the UCA. Jacqueline, what are your parting shots?
Thank you, Julie. Just two. One is if you're a farmer, if you're a boda rider, if you're a teacher, if you're in any kind of elite profession, for example, a lawyer, member of parliament, please join a circle, join a cooperative today, because there is a lot to benefit from that. And secondly, when you join, please be active. If you're a woman, do not be sidelined by men. If you're a person who is living with a disability, if you're a youth, let your voice come out. Get into that leadership role, and then you'll be able to make your cooperative society a better one. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's been it, as we've been looking at inclusive and sustainable rural transformation through cooperatives. And thank you so much for being on the show. That's been it from Good Morning Uganda today, but allow me close with the highlight that was of yesterday for the Kampala Queens being crowned the 2024 FUFA Women's Super League champions. And these Kampala Queens FC were crowned yesterday after a defeat of their opponents, that is the She Maroons, in a very closely contested game. Now, Shamira Naluja had fired the hosts into the lead, tucking home from the sport midway through the first half, but the prison sentries were able to salvage a point and scoring through Fiona Atono after a recess. And Kampala Queens are under the stewardship of Ethiopian coach Asefa Fairu, who took them to that win. Once again, we congratulate them and indeed share the victory with them and just tell them congratulations. From us to you until tomorrow, good morning, Uganda.